Okay, can I suggest that we bring on the second speaker while we allow Mr. Gutu to sort the technical issues at his end?
Just 1 second. Let's give him a minute or so. He's
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so he left. I think he wants to rejoin.
Yeah, let's just wait for him. Except for entertain us. I thought I would have some music to entertain us in this house.
That'd be good, keep the environment very warm.
Yeah. So these are some of the experience we have when we talk about the usage we find ourselves. This is where some of these technical things pop up, but the most important part is that we'll find a way around it. It's a new age that we just have to get used to.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So if we can't have him in the next 2 minutes, the next 1 minute, then we can invite Ms. Nosima Sil to make her presentation. Then we can swap him, right? We can have Ms. Nosima Sil. Yeah. 1 minute. At this point, our apologies. Please do bear with us.
Okay, the studio is awake now.
Thank you very much, Romadi, for that. So at this point, without wasting more time, we just have to invite Ms. Nosima Sil to make her presentation because of time fast spent. Permit me to invite Ms. Nosima. Yeah, permit me to invite Ms. Nosima Sil. Ms. Nosima Sil is a fashion designer, textile and business expert in apparel and textile, head of Africa and chairperson of Buyers Club in Ethiopia. At the head of Africa, leading the Africa strategic and operation sourcing for the last 6 years. And she's based in Ethiopia, but overall, she has over 15 years experience coming from Germany, buying textile. And she also has a manufacturer's experience because she worked with a vertical integrated factory that was producing for European markets. At the same time, she worked closely with GIZ on various projects such as CNIA, supporting young designers, working with various stakeholders on buying terms and conditions via the role as a person. Ms. Nosima, welcome to the meeting. Ms. Nosima will be speaking on the topic leveraging AFCFTA to build competitive regional production ecosystem. Ms. Nosima, you now have the floor to make your presentation. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Just quickly checking, can you see my presentation?
Fantastic. Yeah, we can.
Super. So thank you very much for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you to the Africa CTA Center and ITRS for having me. As already Sandma mentioned, I am Nusima, Director of Fashion and Apparel Africa at Otto International Scantor, which is a part of the Otto Group, one of the largest privately owned retail groups in Europe. Today I sit on the buyer side of this industry every day. So what I want to share with you isn't theory, it's what we're actually building on the ground, where this value chain has real momentum already, and what will turn that into a regional breakthrough. So a little more on where Scantor comes from. Scantor was founded in Copenhagen in 1979 by Knud Thor Larsen, with its headquarter in Herning. Together with Otto International headquarter in Hong Kong, we operate as a joint venture, which is really where our global reach comes from. 25 sourcing locations, over 1,200 people, and more than 1,000 factories audited across combined our global network. That scale isn't Africa specific, but it's the platform for this partnership brings into Africa. And one of the more worth, it's worth mentioning it. Cotton Made in Africa, run by the Aid by Trade Foundation, sits in the same Otto Group. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Cotton Made in Africa. So sustainability or sustainable African cotton isn't a side interest, it's actually in our DNA. What does this actually mean in practice day to day? So what are we doing actually? So we're scouting markets, we run quality control, we develop products, negotiate contracts, manage supplier relationships, and handle traceability. And in each region we are sourcing, we have our own team setup. But as already mentioned, we don't stop at sourcing, so we go beyond that. OI Scantor holds the chair seat of the Buyers Association in Ethiopia, which we have launched 2 years back. And because getting the supply chain to scale and standardize takes best practice. So that is also applied pragmatically. So that's why we are in the room where also policies gets made. So looking at today's paradox, I want you to sit with today. And honestly, it's also the reason why we all are here today. Africa grew with 7.3% of the world's organic cotton in 2020. But by now, I think the share should sit closer to 10%. And we now have the African Continental Free Trade area, which is the largest free trade on the planet. And yet we capture almost none of the value from it. And this is the why we are here. So we are exporting raw material and importing actually our own potential. So following the reason behind why I say we actually import our potential is basically where the value disappear, the value that completes the whole supply chain value. So please walk with me shortly. So we have cotton growing, we have ginning strong, as well as export strong. But then when you look at exactly in between, spinning, weaving, dyeing, finishing, trims, even at some point also garment manufacturing, it's all constrained. So that means the missing middle, it's not a small gap in the process, it's almost the entire process. And every stage we skip, someone outside of Africa fills it and keeps the margin. So let me paint you a little bit of a picture before we get to the hard part of the whole meeting. So by 2035, Africa will have the largest working age population on the planet. We are talking about, if I'm not mistaken, 1.8 billion people. Think about what that means. Manufacturing, potential at a real scale, shipping distance to Europe, America, considering the Africa as a continent. Then also comparing that it's beating most of today's established hubs, and trade access already there. So waiting to be used at the end of the day, and this is not just a number. This is real jobs, real communities. It's a brochure that it's giving like a advertisement line. It's really happening and it's there. So add to that, yeah, well, on top of that, the sustainability story, most regions would in Y, looking at the 54 countries, traceability from field to finished product, aligned with the standard buyers actually ask for, run on renewable energy. So now here's the part I really want you to take with you. Every single one of these advantages is real today and right now. But what is missing is the potential, or is not. It's actually not. The potential is there. The potential is there. And one in regional supply chain from cotton to finished garment instead of 54 separated scattered efforts, that's the actual task in front of us. Not finding the advantage. We already have it. Building the chain that finally lets us use it. So how does any single country close a gap this big? Honestly, it doesn't, not alone. And building a full ecosystem inside one border takes decades and capital most country doesn't have. The success of one country is in this region genuinely rest of the success of its neighbors, where the story shifts. So from one country's effort to a whole regions. And that's exactly what African Continental Free Trade Area makes it possible. Countries build complementary strengths instead of every country trying to do it, everything alone. Trade intermediate goods freely and together pool the kind of scale that actually takes seriously investment. And this is what we want to highlight from the buyer's perspective, because this is not given as of today. I would like to also give a little bit of a comparison that you have a little bit of understanding why for us, from a buyer's perspective, the reason we are, well, interpretable why we are seeing in our established markets converse to why it's difficult to enter a market where it's not really giving us the full benefit. So let me give a little bit of numbers to the context. So Bangladesh has over 4,000 garment factories. So I'm talking about one country. Around 500 spinning mills, and has an export value approximately 20 billion euro. West and Central Africa combined 300 to 700 factories, 40 to 80 spinning mills, under 2 billion in exports. And also from what is existing, 300 to 700 factories, how many of them are meeting actually the international standards in every aspect? So we don't have really a full amount that it triggers buyers to shift from the established markets to a new market, a full scale of sourcing opportunities. So, as I said, from the buyer's perspective, so let me bring it a little bit more into the front line. What we actually see from weeks, months to years, buyers won't commit to supply what they can verify, so to say. So consistent regional standards are in bureaucracy. It's our minimum requirements, and it's the policy. Look at the European legislation that comes more and more tight and stricter. So, and the second, we don't just ask what I can buy today. We also ask what you can do tomorrow for us. So we need an outlook. We cannot only rely on what we have today. So what you can give us tomorrow. So basically, nobody moves on a snapshot. We move on credible, long-term plan that's actually happening on the ground. That what real matchmaking infrastructure needs to deliver. Feasibility today paired with credible outlook on tomorrow. So third and the final one is that, well, this is the one I would really like you to remember. One great factory does not change a country's sourcings today. So buyers need 5, 15, 20 different factories, different capabilities, different scale, capacity. So I won't come with my bestseller from Bangladesh and place it into one single factory and build my setup over there. So we need definitely original that is reflecting capacity, capability, as well as the full vertical setup in the region. So what actually moved this forward? So we need policymakers. Pick a lane, write it down, national roadmap. Name someone, make it accountable for it, and build it. Manufacturers, we need manufacturers that build across the borders. So instead of trying to do everything alone, we need them to cooperate within the continent, within the region. So no need to go to Asia to source your fabric. No need to go to Pakistan. I'm just naming it. You don't need to take it as a specific country or particular country, but it's quite difficult to rely on import material that needs to be come by sea, where you have a neighbor that actually could and has the raw material to give you what you are looking for to do the final product. At the same time, it's also important for us that investors and DFIs, that they are funding regional hubs, not only one-off factories that stand alone. And our part, of course, our contribution is concrete. We bring the buyers relationship and we turn them into real scalable volumes, which is already happening in East and West Africa. North Africa is already for more than multiple decades in our map, but considering we started in East Africa and expanding in West Africa, we are already in West Africa, and we are happy with what we been able to kick off, but it's not enough to scale it. So basically, this is the kind of groundwork that broader effort needs to actually succeed. Policy definitely opens the door, but someone still has to walk through it. In this sense, that's the shift we are here for, one regional ecosystem. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to any of the questions that you might have.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much. For me, I think that was a quite insightful and strategically important presentation. Just before we do a quick synopsis of Nosima's presentation, so I'm going through the chat and the Q&A, and I'm seeing some of here and there. So I just want to set this straight for organizational purposes. So if you look at your screen, you will see there's a chat icon and there's also a Q&A icon. So the Q&A icon is where you want to drop your questions, okay? Whatever question that you have, you drop that in the Q&A. The chat is simply meant for, what it is, regular chats, okay? So it is from the Q&A that we're able to pick up your questions, all right? Also, I also saw a chat where someone was asking for the slides presentation from the speaker. So that will be shared with everyone, and the way you're going to get access to that will definitely be revealed to every one of us at the end of this webinar session. So that's gives you the need to wait till the end of the session. So you're going to get access to it, and then that will be done at the end of the session. So let me just quickly do a review of what we heard from Nosima. For me, this is particularly valuable because it offers the perspective of a global sourcing partner, okay, that as you heard, works directly with buyers and manufacturers across Africa. So we are getting the perspective of the people that are actually buying. We have talked about we producing cotton, and almost 90 to 90 something percent of it is going outside of Africa for processing. And now we are hearing from the people who actually make those exports connections work. And so for me, this particular presentation is actually very, very important for every one of us. And you keep hearing Nosima saying, this is something I want you to go with. This is something I want you to go with. Now, I counted 1, 2, 3 of that, and I'm having, more than I can count with my fingers. But let me just take a few of those as we move on to the next speaker. So key insight from here is that, and this is something we already know, that we produce cotton, and the issue we are having is capturing the value from our cotton. And then the second one is that the reason for that is that there's a missing middle, okay, that covers the spinning, the weaving, the dyeing, the finishing, the manufacturing, okay. And the more this missing middle is sustained, the more value that we lose, and the more value someone else is capturing outside of the African continent. Now, she did mention also that AFCFTA creates the opportunity for regional specialization, okay, but for us to make the most out of AFCFTA, we must understand that the global buyers, they are sourcing from ecosystems. You heard her mention, I am not bringing a buyer from Bangladesh to work with only one factory. Rather, we want to work with 15 to 20 factories, so that we are not looking at just the immediate transaction or the immediate business we want to do. We are looking into the long term. Okay, so we want to buy now and keep coming to buy from you. Okay, so that's the fourth point. And then finally, I picked the fact that the industrial transformation we are talking about requires scale and also coordinated action across policy making, manufacturing, investing, and of course, sourcing partners that we have talked about. So in summary, this particular presentation leaves us with a powerful message. So I also want to echo Ms. Nosima to say, I want you to take this away. And that is to say that the competitive advantage of Africa's cotton, textile, and apparel sector will be achieved through integrated regional value chains, where countries are not doing everything alone, but collaborating and focusing on areas of specialization and then growing together. And that vision captures the essence of our webinar today. So thank you once again, Ms. Nosima, and I do believe that Mr. Gutu is available now, so we can have him make his presentation. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah,
Good afternoon.
Good
My
afternoon.
apologies. My
Good
apologies.
afternoon. Welcome.
Yes. I'm wondering if you can see my screen now. Oops. Hello. Hello.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Okay. So you can't see my screen, but you can hear me, right?
We can
No,
hear
we can-
you. We can see the screen.
And
Okay.
we can,
Okay.
it's quite visible,
All right.
Mr. Kama.
Okay, thank you so much. And once again, my apologies. And I managed to catch a bit of that wonderful presentation. Very well done there. My presentation is on from cotton exporter to manufacturing powerhouse, rebuilding Africa's integrated cotton, textile, and apparel value chains. So basically, I'll just try to say where we are and then what we need to do and how we should do it. So some of this information has already been given by the previous speaker, but yes, we produce the cotton, but we only capture 2% of the value because we export raw materials, which Asia then processes and manufactures and brands. And we're stuck in an exporter's trap where Africa just basically exports raw and brings in finished products. There's a cost to this, which is a $23 billion cost of being an exporter of raw materials. There's another cost, which is a $20 billion cost to regional trade between ourselves because of non-tariff barriers added to the billions that we import back from overseas. But the good thing is that there's quite some potential. We're staring at a 600% potential increase in textile exports, which is achievable, which would again create almost 5.8 million jobs across the value chain. Just to show you and to discuss an example of jobs, the value of jobs created in the value chain, China is leading with $12,000 per job. India on about $6,500 per job created, and Bangladesh with 3,500. Yet Africa, on average, is still long below dollars per job created in the value chain. There are 5 steps in the ladder from cotton to apparel, which basically means that we grow the cotton, but in between the processes between growing cotton and getting apparels, we've got spinning and weaving, then dyeing. There is some spinning activity and some weaving activity and some apparel activity in the continent, but missing completely, or to some extent completely, is the dyeing and finishing. It's the #1 bottleneck. So how our competitors did it is that they basically built their powerhouses through government policies, which were very efficient, and the typical things like tax holidays, export subsidies, duty-free machinery into the host countries. They were serious about infrastructure, basically industrial parks with power, water, and roads, which then in turn attracted FDI. They trained their skills and encouraged vertical integration. China, between 1990 and 2000, grew almost 30 to 40% in terms of capacity, and then started to tail off. But that capacity has been taken up by India, Bangladesh, and Vietnam. The problems that we have in the form of obstacles, 6 major ones. And unlike how the Asian powerhouses grew, we have infrastructure issues where we don't have reliable power, poor roads, and congested seaports. We have skills shortages, especially in the dyeing and finishing, as well as in maintenance. We have fragmented markets. For example, within the EU, they've got inter-country trade of up to 61% in the same sector, whereas in Africa, we are barely approaching 15% in trading laws. We have policy, regulatory gaps, financing gaps, and which is competition from Asia. And how did the powerhouses finance themselves, in the more efficient countries? They use the funding mix of sovereign wealth funds. There are funds being availed by Saudi Vision Invest, UAE Equitain, and Qatar. Direct foreign investment and development banks constituted 25%, and commercial banks at 20%. The idea of grants is something that we have to forget. What we need is patient capital, which is fully de-risked. And how do, so basically to get this de-risked capital, it's led by pre-orders. Pre-orders can unlock financing. And the first step in raising pre-orders is to approach the global brands, the huge brands like Nike, Zara, and H&M. And then you try to get them to sign 5 to 10-year offtake agreements. And those agreements with guaranteed prices and guaranteed demand end up de-risking capital. The brands that are contracted, they usually bring technical assistance and quality standards. In other words, they're their own people actually working in the factories, or they are supervising the factory work regularly. Those contracts are then taken to the banks and the financiers, who then lend against guaranteed contracts at lower risk. And then we can build the factories that we need to build. Everything resides on the free trade agreement, the All Africa Free Trade Agreement, and it's really the engine for building manufacturing powerhouses across the continent. Because as I mentioned earlier, if you compare intra-regional trade in Europe, it's almost 62%, whereas Asia is 58%, North America 40%, but in Africa again it's less than 15%. So that's where the gap is for Africa. The projections, I guess, are similar to the previous speaker, that we will in 2035 have 1.8 billion people. That's a big market with about 3.4 trillion if the GDP is combined. Finally, just to recap, there's a 10-step roadmap that our competitors have followed, from raw cotton to apparel to building apparel powerhouses. There's a need to create industrial parks, and some of these parks now not only have power, water, and roads, but they've got recycling, they've got waste processing, they've got workers' compounds. It's a real investment. They focus mainly on dyeing and finishing, or they have exceptional dyeing and finishing processes, which is, the number one bottleneck. They have off-take agreements, which usually span up to 10 years, which then attract FDI. Branding is an important thing. We need to build African brands and textile brands for global markets. And sustainability is an issue. Almost every buyer is asking about sustainability to ensure that you can trace where your raw materials came from and that they were produced in a sustainable fashion. So that's basically the presentation, and just to summarize, the questions that the presentation was supposed to answer are that why does Africa export cotton but import apparel? It's because we are stuck in an exporter's trap where we ship raw fiber and we buy back a huge bill of imports. What is the missing middle? It's dyeing and finishing, which is the number one bottleneck. Without it, we can't make fabric from yarn, trapping us at low value exports. How do we finance this transformation? Not with grants, because grants have dried up, but we need patient de-risk capital. And we have to use off-take agreements and pre-orders from brands like Nike, Zara to turn projects into bankable assets. How does the free trade agreement help? It is the engine with 90% tariff elimination and a $3.4 trillion GDP market. And what are the biggest obstacles? It's infrastructure, policy gaps, and skills shortages. And can Africa actually do this? And the simple answer is yes, but we need political will and strategic partnerships. And in conclusion, so from potential to powerhouse, the verdict, Africa already produces the cotton, but the world needs clothing. The only missing piece is the decision to build the factories in between. The economic case is unassailable. We have jobs to create and potential exports to achieve, as well as to recover $20 billion between us by removing non-tariff barriers. And do we have any example of blueprints? Yes, we do. We have the 10-step roadmap, which leads to, which supports the free trade market, which has 1.8 billion people, or which will have 1.8 billion people. We have FDI interests from the Middle East, and we have the successful pilot zones in Benin and Ethiopia. So the missing ingredient is coordination, not one, isolated national industry or industries, but integrated regional ecosystems. No single country can do it alone. We must move from competing for cotton to collaborating on clothing. And I just wanted to challenge the stakeholders that from this webinar, we need some action. In the next 12 months, can we see from the policymakers, them having have ratified and implemented protocols? As you, I'm familiar with the SADC trade protocol, where there's quite a lot of pending ratification of protocols. I think we've got quite a number which haven't been ratified. We have to target this in the middle by offering tax holidays and duty-free machinery imports for the critical areas. And then to ensure that rules of origin are enforced. prevent transshipment of which would be labeled as African. For the investors and DFIs, fund the offtake agreements, not speculation. Create a CTA facility, a dedicated blended finance vehicle for spinning, weaving, dyeing infrastructure. And for industry and manufacturers, regionalized sourcing, commit to buying from other African countries, commit to buying African inputs. Build supply chain that cross borders and develop skills. And for all of us, choose made in Africa over made from Africa. The resources are ours, the market is ours. The time is now. Thank you. Hello.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Tararama.
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much for that presentation. I believe this your last presentation added up. African cotton challenges. It's not that we don't have raw material, we have it, but we have been trapped in the export of cotton trap. We have been trapped in this for too long. But the two presentation gives us an expectation and something we can look up to. Even while we recognize that there is challenge, we have also provided solutions because the people that are making presentation, and it's important I mention this, we don't just bring people to just come and talk, we bring people that have experience in the industry. And they give us practical pathways. And he said, we cannot change things if we don't brand. So branding is important. Mr. Tarama, you also remind us that for us to even address this missing link, we must be able to have a system whereby finance, you validated it that grants will not help us in this matter. We are aware that there is right up. So not anywhere. There must be an appetite for value and a system created to ensure that when you invest, you benefit from it. Our protocols, what the task on the day, so to attract people to come and invest in Africa, to address this missing link, which really have different dimensions. And for your presentation, you also made us understand in finance, it's one of the things. Not that the market is not there, but because of time, I would not want to drag this. I would want to invite my colleagues. There are a lot of questions because our webinar is always interactive. We want people to interact, we want people to discuss, we want people to express themselves. So before I invite my colleague to come in to say over the next session is that ITRC will become the engine of building an integrated regional production ecosystem. You mentioned that no African country needs to develop every segment of the value chain independently. What could be produced in one country, put into another country, die in another country, finish elsewhere, and manufacture into garments in another country, production hubs. Validating what consumer mentioned, that we are buyers, but you cannot box us. One variety. And then what matters now is removing trade barriers, implementing effective use of origin. That is your word. Is that developing a regional infrastructure and coordination of international industrial policy. So now you see, our industrial policy must fit for our trade policy. We must carry on that, making it align with FCFTA, which is open market. But the learning is that fragmented national industries to connect, we must use it to value chain, and policymakers must do their work. Thank you very much for this powerful and implementable framework. Your presentation is implementable. So made from Africa to made in Africa. Sum it up. Ladies and gentlemen, you agree with me that the two presentation is something that we can use to drive the transformation we're looking for in Africa. It doesn't end there. We're having this conversation because it's important that we move away from what used to be in the past. And we are proud to be leading that charge in Africa as we speak right now. African Context and Apparel Center has been having this conversation, and we want to have this conversation until we start seeing that particular step. Arisokra, over to you at this point. Thank you very much, Dr. Rama, for this impactful and powerful presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Also, from my end, I want to appreciate Mr. Rama for that highly practical, implementation framework for moving forward. Okay. Yes. So I did see the chart from okay, please give me a minute or a second. So from the Q&A, I haven't really seen any questions. So someone was trying to look for the Q&A box now. So I'm bringing that person up. I'm just trying to find out who it is who said they were looking for the Q&A to solve their question. So while I search for that, so if you have a question, just signify by using the hands up emoji. I have Jacosieno. I think you have done it already. So Jacosieno. I also have Diana. Okay, so let's start with Jack. Jack, please unmute yourself and then go with your question, and then tell us who you are directing your question to between the two speakers. Go ahead now.
Yeah, thank you. You can hear me?
Yes, now.
Right. Yeah, thank you very much. I have questions for Usema. It talks about traceability as one of the key aspects that you consider when you are purchasing products. How do you do this? How do you support African manufacturers to undertake traceability activities to satisfy or to meet the requirements around a particular concern? And then a question for Gutu. Again, very good insights from Mr. Rama about FCFTA. I know this could be something that goes beyond its mandate, but let me ask nevertheless, what is FCFTA doing to sell Africa's products out there in international markets? How is it telling Africa's story to international buyers? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Which of you wants to go first? Nosima, Sarah? I think we should go with Nosima first.
I can quickly answer. So traceability is not something that we are executing. It starts with the supplier onboarding itself, and we are supporting in the sense of giving guidance. We have on the ground our setup that is responsible for compliance, CSR, and so on. So these people are giving the right direction. What is for us? We don't use conventional cotton in any of our products. I mean, when we're talking about the object group subsidiaries, retailers, so to say, and our minimum requirement is cotton in Africa. So we make sure that the certificates are in place, and if they are not in place, then we are connecting with our experts in our object group to get the certification for those suppliers done. And any support is needed, of course, they are here. I hope this answers your questions. Others or you have. Super.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I also can have to keep your mic on mute. So the second question goes to Rama. Rama, you want to respond to the second question that we posed to you?
Yes. The free trade agreement is creating a single market, a single continental market, which is very, very attractive for FDI and sovereign funds and capital markets to invest. It's aiming to reduce intra-trade barriers, tariff barriers, and the tariffs themselves. And it's encouraging, it's linking itself to big finance houses to build national value, international value chains within Africa. And it's encouraging validation. Those are things that I saw on their own manifesto. Yes. I hope that answered that.
Okay. Yes. So I believe it gives a little bit of understanding to Jakotino for his question. So we'll go down on to Diana Kareba. Yes, Diana Kareba, I think you're the next. And then after Diana, John Isemede will be having you next. And then I also see Sindube. Okay, so Diana, you have the floor now. Unmute your mic and ask your question.
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone, and thanks to the presenters for the great insight. It's just around one area, the 1.8 billion people referred to by 2025, the skill, the available labor in 2035. But have you thought about around skilling, getting people skilled? Sorry, I think, okay. Yeah, so getting skilled labor. So it's one thing to have the 1.8 billion people, but are they skilled? And when we talk about skilled, in most cases you find today it's around tailoring, it particularly, and yet we're talking about gaps in dyeing. So we may want to think around that, so that whoever is coming to invest, they'll need to find some skills available to take on the work. Yeah. So I don't know if you've thought about skilling. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Diana. So I'm taking that as a comment, or is that a question you are directing to anybody, any of the speakers in particular?
If there's anyone who has an answer to it, it would be great just to know if there's anything else being done out there in regards to getting skilled labor, because that's a major gap. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So can I ask you to take that, Mr. Tarama? I think you broke down some of the things that those other regions who have been able to set up regional capacities for CTA, what they did, and I think you mentioned about upskilling their labor. So please take that. Thank you.
Yes, there are those development goals, and amongst which one is skilling of people. And fortunately, what's happened is that it's expensive to build schools and universities, and especially the relevant, universities for textile manufacturing and for clothing. There was a time that there was a buildup of these facilities, and then when China, dominated and the industries contracted, these schools then shut. But fortunately, what's happened is that there is now, AI, there is now online training in abundance. You can enroll in some great American universities which focus on value addition in textiles, in cotton, online without even going to those schools. So yes, in Zimbabwe, for example, the schools are mushrooming. The country has announced that, you know, they're on a drive to increase, to build about 2,000 to 3,000 schools to make up for those kind of deficits. So the movement, I think, is, and I've seen that there's quite a lot of regional schooling opportunities that, you know, of which these schools are linked to overseas institutions like City and Guilds, for example. You can get the City and Guilds online in different countries. So yes.
Okay, thank you for taking that. So I'm going to be calling on John Isemede. Your hand is down now, but you are the next in line. So if you still have your question, please unmute your mic and do that quickly. Okay, good, John. Go ahead, please.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
All right. Good evening. I just have three questions. One for the Ethiopian, the other one for my brother from Zimbabwe, and my friend Samumba. First and foremost, I'm an old man. During the analog days, I was able to travel around the continent of Africa by road and westings. And we cannot be talking of Africa now without looking at globalization. Secondly, we cannot be looking at what we are saying now without talking of trade liberalization, how we have signed Africa. And last one is all the agreements we have signed. If you are looking at the global cotton business, China is the #1 producer in the world, about 8 million metric tons of 30%, followed by India. And if you talk of India, Pakistan, China, and all that, they are controlling almost 70% of the total market. We are now talking of farming, not the end product. If you talk of end product, most of the shares I brought from London, they were from Bangladesh and Pakistan. If you are talking of Africa, we cannot talk of Egypt, Sudan without talking of cotton. And if you are talking of West Africa, we cannot talk of Benin Republic. I did cotton business in Benin Republic, Woodi in Velasco in the Netherlands, and Mali and Burkina Faso. Those who have been to Ghana will see the heap. Today is not a day of Simon. When I saw this thing in the morning, that was when I was on yam export, sesame seed, cocoa, and so on and so forth, that we labor and get only 6%. My first question goes to my sister from Ethiopia. I was in Ethiopia for the first question. The first question is
I think we've lost the Semede.
Sorry, we are talking of my three questions. The first one is to my sister from Ethiopia. Why we Africans are operating in silos? Why is it that there is no cross-border investment? Even when we are talking of ECOWAS or we are talking of AFTA, we have not been able to break down these barriers. And when you talk of information, especially trade information, it's unavailable, even at the AU office in Ethiopia. Look at what is going on. When Trump came up with the tariff, the whole continent of Africa shaking. And we know what happened to the garment and apparel industry, first in Lesotho, Eswatini, and all that. That is the question. The second question goes to my brother Mba. With all the agreement we have signed, let's not go too far. Let us start from 1996. after WTO of 1995, we signed the Uruguay agreement. That was what cleared all the industries in Nigeria. I'm only asking questions. If you ask me to present a paper, I will talk for 2 hours. I will talk from Kaduna to Kafanchan and all that. What happened to the farms in Adamawa, in Kaduna, in Sokoto, in Katsina? So with all this we are talking, where is the hope that we have signed off all our industries and we are talking of cotton and this? The last one is to my brother in Zimbabwe, a country I love so much. I was there for 2 years. The issue of the rule of origin. I was the DG of the Chamber of Commerce in Nigeria, and I discovered that people were printing a certificate of origin, especially Asians. That was what they were using to take the Nigerian quota at the AGOA. So where is the hope? My brother from Zimbabwe, I want to thank you especially. I thought Zimbabwe was known for tobacco and maize. I'm hearing for the first time that you are going into the area of cotton and all that. Thank you. These are my 3 questions.
Thank you, Mr. John Isemede. It's a pleasure to have you here. So, Nosima, you want to take your question, as quickly as possible so that we have the other questionnaires waiting in line.
I'm trying to understand, first of all, the question. So, can he repeat it? I'm not sure if I get his question right.
All right, thank you. The question I want to ask is that why are Africa institutions, government, the chambers and all that all operating in silos? There is little or nothing on cross-border investment. Trade information is not available in Africa. For instance, if I go to Cotonou today, I will get information from 26 Francophone countries. If I want to get information about Africa, I go to BBC office in London, but which is not available. Which information is available in AU office in Ethiopia for any African country to fly?
Okay, so you mean the information is available or the information is not available? Because even if an information is available, I think having information isn't the same as having the mechanism to act on it. I mean, we might know from our own sourcing operation where capacity exists in one country and where a gap exists in another one, but turning it that into actual cross-border trade still runs into real friction. But if you ask me, are we as a buyer the right partner to ask this question? I'm a bit concerned.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Same.
Aramba.
Okay, so the question about we signed an agreement from Uruguay to even the AFCFTA is implementation. And as a private sector, ours is to drive this conversation. Our power stops from here. We have to advocate. Advocacy is the key word, saying if you implement the agreement is signed. And we did a study, we wrote a policy bill, I think it was 2 months ago from the center. We said market access is not a problem. It's implementing, and that's what Nasima is talking about. So I'm saying that even if you have this information, if you don't have the mechanisms to implement this information, to utilize information, it's a challenge. A buyer wants to buy. Nasima is a buyer, but I have information to buy from where? But today, even if I have information that you can produce, you don't have mechanisms to produce it, it's a challenge. So whether you have information or they don't have information has always been a problem. Information of policy has always been a problem. What which is a collective, is that we must realize that if you must make information available, not the buyer wants this information to work with. Policy signing of agreement, you have to implement it and put mechanisms to monitor the implementation. If you don't put mechanisms to monitor the implementation as a government, you can't hold me as private or investor responsible for the underdevelopment of this sector. However, I believe the momentum is building up with AFCFTA signing. More and more institutions like ours are now consciously working towards ensuring when government signs agreements, they implement it, ensuring that information are made available. And that is why from the center, we are trying to build the African cotton textile and apparel marketplace intelligence portal, where we can use AI and mechanisms to be able to see where are raw materials, who are the people buying, who are people selling, and what are investments coming into Africa. And we are starting the conversation, and we are starting building it from the center perspective, and we'll be reaching out to partners that want to be part of this to join. I think I will end it there. Maybe I'll just say that next 1 minute, let's accelerate the response, the questions, and the response time. Please, thank you. If I don't know if Tarama can want to respond to his own part of the question, while we move on to other participants that have questions or contributions to make. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry. So just to answer part of that question, the textile industry in Zimbabwe is more than 100 years old. Cotton growing started in around the 1930s to 1940s in Zim, and it was brought into Zimbabwe by the British Cotton Growing Association. In 1936, the Cotton Research Industry Board was established to promote growing of cotton and to promote varieties of cotton that would be upgraded with the change in the seasons and the different locations of cotton growing. So we've been growing cotton for quite a long time. And then you have to remember that during the Rhodesian days and during UDI, Rhodesia was self-sufficient in cotton, in its textile production. There was very little textiles coming into the country because of sanctions. So they developed, the Zimbabwean industry was really built around import substitution, which was really great for the local manufacturers. But the only problem was that you only got standard types of textiles and clothing. And the country then developed an average of 250,000 tons of seed cotton production per year. It's only in recent years, over the last 10 years or so, that it's really declined. So yes, we are known for tobacco. We are also known for maize to some extent, not to a great extent because we are a net maize importer, but we are. We're struggling to get it back to its original status.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so I have Simdube next. After Simdube, I'll be taking you Samson, and then the name meeting A to Z. I don't have your real name. You'll be going after Samson. So Simdube, you have the floor now. Please go on.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you very much to the guests. Had a lot of information.
Simdube, if you could try to be a little bit more audible.
Can you hear me now? Hello.
Okay, good, perfect.
Great. So much to the speakers. We've learned quite a bit. I got a lot of questions to ask, but in the interest of time, I'll just ask one or two questions. My first question is just directed at Nosima. I believe you are actually on the end where you're actually a buyer. And I just wanted to find out, we're talking a lot about cotton here, which is great because that's where our strength lies. But I'd like to think that of all of us here, none of us are actually wearing a 100% cotton garments. And what it basically means to us is that we actually, as the other speaker said, we're reliant on other people around the world. And I'm talking about blends. Yes, from your Nosima. Do you really find, is it easy to find fabric for your own products in Africa from an African mill? I think that's a very, very key question for me to know, because I just get the feeling that there's a bit of a dichotomy between what the buyer wants and what we are able to produce. And then just a quick one to Mr. Gutu, Tararama Gutu, around the value chain, the missing middle, where I think the costs are sitting. Do we really think our biggest fabric producers, say in China, are actually doing it at a profit, or are they subsidized? Is this something that we can also follow? I'm just quite interested to know, because it should be quite costly to do that, and the prices that we get out of that, interesting. Just those two questions, if maybe I could be answered, just for my learning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Nosima?
can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Yeah,
hear
sure.
you now.
Yes. So I think the question is more around are we only looking for cotton, or how much cotton share is what we are sourcing from Africa? Am I getting it correctly?
Maybe
Yeah.
not so
So-
much that, Nosima. Just
Mhm.
I'm just saying, look, we're talking about cotton here, but I know that
Yes.
the trend generally is just around blended fabrics. You know, we're talking
Yes.
polycottons, we're talking.
Yes.
So how much of it are you getting out of Africa in terms of your fabric?
Mhm. So, so material composition, so we don't source only fabric, but considering what we are sourcing and where cotton plays a major role is look at NOS styles. So, how to say it, never out of stock bestsellers. When you go into a store or check online, you always see a basic t-shirt in a variation of colors, 5 packs, 10 packs, or single pieces, and these are bestsellers of majority of the brands. You go to Zara, you go to single sports brands, you always see the cotton product as their bestseller. So on top of it, we are not only looking after basic t-shirts, but we are also sourcing denim, and denim is also having a huge share of cotton as well as textiles. So when you take all this, it's already a big share of what we are looking. And of course, it's not our primary material composition we are looking for, but looking at the share, it's a massive share. And synthetic fibers is anyway, as long as they are not recycled, it's not a sustainable product that we want to see in our finished products. I do hope this answers your questions.
Please, thank you very much, Nosima, for that response. Can we have Tarama to respond to this whole part of question? Maybe give us less than 1 minute, because we have time fast spent.
Yes. China has historically provided significant support to its textile industry. They knew the importance of the industry in terms of employment, in terms of money coming in, foreign currency coming in. But it wasn't a direct subsidy on every meter of fabric, but they have a whole host of ways that they are subsidized. They've also been accused of currency manipulation to promote their exports. So I'll stop there in the interest of saving time.
Okay, Samson and meeting ITRC, we're going to be taking your questions and your answer within the next 2 minutes. So you want to shoot fast and get on with it. Thank you, Samson. Now.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is Samson from Ethiopia. I do have one question for my sister Nosima. Just what would be the reason that the missing value chain important to textile in Africa. What would be the possible reason that you think for that the missing value chain in the textile? So I need your perspective in that regard. Second, regarding sustainability, what you have mentioned, CMI, establishing the certification process in North country is this time requiring huge investment. So if it possible to smallholder farmers or water producers to supply for your company because of the cost of certification and investments for getting certified. Serve as an information for Africa to have the cotton and textile value chain in terms of jobs is obvious because in terms of skill, when compared to other industries like automotive and other the skill level required for the industry is less. So that's to be work in the textile. So in this regard, here in our country, Ethiopia, we do have textile universities. We have
Something.
Yes.
Let's have the same of your so that we can do the last participant to ask his own as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Just this to give you one information that we can exchange skills within African countries, so that we have universities as well. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I understand. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for your question, and I think it's a quite good question. So let me try to give you an honest, short version of why. It basically comes down to four things, or three or four things. First, capital. So spinning, weaving, dyeing, finishing, need heavy upfront investment in machinery and infrastructure, and water treatment for dyeing. So you have the zero repeat discharge, which is available in Ethiopia, but it needs a huge investment, and it needs also so you can't have a Porsche but you don't have the right driver to drive it. So basically this corrosion, and that's why also garment assembly go first everywhere, including here. So second, market size. No single African country on its own has enough domestic demand to justify that kind of investment, which is exactly what has to be a regional story. Third, skills, as I mentioned already, you need a driver to know actually how to drive the Porsche. So those mid-chain stage need deep technical training that takes years to build. And fourth, I think it's the last one, and frankly, policy fragmentation. Different countries has incentivizing different things rather than coordinating around where each one is actually competitive. So I think that helped a little bit to give you my perspective on this why.
Okay. Thank you. So yes, thank you. So we're having the last question now coming from meeting A to Z. Please introduce yourself so we know who we are speaking. Thank you.
So thank you very much, moderator, Mr. Rizkola. My name is Sylvester Kazi. I represent A to Z Group Limited, and what is reading there is actually my company ID. That's why that is the connection, the link coming through. So that's why it's reading A to Z. So the company I'm working with is A to Z Group. Formerly, it was known as A to Z Textile Mills Limited, but recently we changed it to Group. I'm export manager of the company for a long time. I also sit in the cotton board, and I'm, as some among us in this group, I'm also the champion for the cotton to apparel in the ESFTA. So I have first, before I go to my question, actually appreciate to our presenters, Rosema, Mr. Katarama, and the others for nice presentations and also answering the prominent questions. I have a question to Madam Rosema, and maybe the second one will be a general question to SPA. You know, for the US and EU markets, there is a lot, or there is a very strict compliance and certification in terms of product supply. And talking to textiles, it goes far down into chemical dyes and all these kind of things. I just wanted to know how Rosema could manage this compliances, and I know there is a lot of and the cost involved is not small. There is to go through the certifications in order to supply to the US or EU markets. The certification is not cheap. Then how can the African manufacturers, whom we are now talking of the integrated and all this, manage to be certified to also manage the compliances in order to access these markets, which we are talking of the international markets? And maybe related to that one, when we are talking of the integrated markets and the demand within Africa, what kind of certifications and compliances are we looking at? Because we've seen some of these things are becoming, we have certifications within individual countries, but themselves the obstacles to work with the neighboring countries. That's one. But two, we have been discussing quite a lot in these forums how we want Africa to proceed or to come up with the textile integrated regional value chain for our cotton. Now, when are we going to say now we're coming up with something tangible to start working on physically, maybe bringing 2, 3, 5 countries together and have harmonized policies, and then we start the working. I have a background of Ethiopia, 30 years plus. In 1992, Ethiopia, I think they had about 18 textile factories with two textile institutions. Samsung has mentioned about the skills, but what I learned is that Ethiopia had a bilateral arrangement with India.
Mr. Sylvester.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Sylvester, thank you. I do appreciate your comments and all of this wonderful information you want to share with us. So let's just have Ms. Nosima answer the question, and we'll continue this conversation on our WhatsApp platform. I did also mention earlier that there's a way for us to access the presentations from this session. And so after the last question has been answered, I'll bring on my colleague, Ms. Favor, who would give us all that we need to know concerning that and how we can also continue this conversation after this, beyond this webinar, because we have spent 6 minutes past the actual time to close, so we need to let people go, okay, and we need to also respect their time and availability. Thank you so much for your understanding, Mr. Sylvester. Ms. Nosima, please go ahead and answer that question now. Thank you.
Yeah, to make it again short, so how we are ensuring all certifications. Of course, the third-party auditors are responsible for that, depending on what we are asking for a minimum requirement. Is it the BACI or is it the certification on the material? Is it the zero liquid discharge, water treatment because of the chemicals and so on? Or is it the transparency going even deeper in terms of HIG-FEM? But I think in terms of cost, absolutely right. And you're also right to push this topic. Definitely, there are manufacturers that are not in a position to cover certain certifications before a business starts. And here we are collaborating with organizations such as GIZ, German Development Organization, who is then supporting our vendor to get the certification done. So there are opportunities and there are possibilities. It's about networking and getting the right partners on the ground to get reasonable, achievable milestones done, to get orders and to get a long-term relationship.
Okay, I believe that answers Mr. Sylvester's question, and of course, we'll have the platform. Yes, we'll have the platform to continue this conversation beyond this session. So I will now bring in my colleague, Ms. Favor, to round us up on this particular session. Thank you.
Okay, can we all hear me? Good afternoon, everyone. So our speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen, as we've come to the end of today's webinar, I would like to sincerely thank everyone for joining us. Today's discussion has showed us that Africa has great potential to build a strong cotton, textile, and apparel industry. However, this can only happen if we work together, invest in local manufacturing, strengthen regional value chains, and make full use of the opportunities provided by the ACFTA. On behalf of the International Trade and Research Center and the Africa Cotton, Textile, and Apparel Center, I would like to express our sincere appreciations to our speakers for sharing their valuable knowledge and experience with us today. Thank you for taking the time to be part of this important conversation. I would also like to thank all our participants for joining us and for your active participation. Your questions, comments, and interest made today's webinar a success. Before we conclude, I would like to let us know that we have a Africa Cotton, Textile, and Apparel Center WhatsApp community where we continue the conversation beyond our webinars. In the group, we share our webinar materials, including speakers' presentation, policy briefs developed from our webinars, articles, newsletters, and other useful resources on Africa Cotton, Textile, and Apparel sector. We encourage you to join the community and stay connected with us. The WhatsApp group is pinned on the chat box. We also have the Africa Cotton Textile Center Fellow Association, a network of experts, researchers, industry professionals, academians, policy makers, and practitioners who contribute their knowledge and expertise to advancing Africa's cotton, textile, and apparel sector. We warmly invite those who are interested in becoming part of this growing community to join us. If you would like to be considered as a research or resource fellow, kindly send your profile to our team and would be pleased to get in touch with you. Sorry, and I've also shared a message on the chat box containing the email address where you can send your detailed profile, CVs, and a headshot photograph if you'd like to be considered a research fellow. Special thanks to our organizing team for all their hard work in planning and coordinating this webinar. Before we end, would kindly ask everybody to turn on their cameras so that we can take a group photo to remember today's webinar. So would like everyone to turn on their cameras so that we can take a group shot. Thank you. we're still waiting for everybody to turn on their cameras. Please, we'd like everyone to be part of the photograph. Thank you. Okay.
It's night time for some of us. So
Oh, so sorry. That's fine.
we still die.
All right.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, everyone, thank you very much. Again, thank you for joining today. We'd like to see you next month. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
The WhatsApp link to join the WhatsApp community is in the chat box right now. Just click it and get you in the right way. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Nosima. Thank you, Mr. Gutu. Thank you, Mr. John Semede. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you, Mr. Jack Otieno, Diana, Kareba. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, and see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.